I think I'm a special one.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
All right, let's go. We're 1 week away. Premier League starts in a week. How we doing, boys? We got me at my apartment right now. We got Andrew back in the studio, and coming on, special guest, Chelsea pundit and the official on the half turn data analyst, Justin Hahn.
Love it. Great intro. Awesome.
Well done.
Happy to be
Well
on the podcast.
Yes, sir. So we'll start off by what are we wearing? So Justin, go ahead.
I got the little I think this is 2 years ago, second away kit, Chelsea. Pulisic on the back, 22 before he went to 10. Worst decision of his career, but
Really?
like we'll digress.
I have that same kit, but in number 10. Like the second year he was.
So I got it, and it was like I got it, and then they started the next season. Then he changed to 10. So there was like 3 games where he wore it maybe
Wow.
during COVID. So second half of COVID.
Yeah, so maybe they introed the
new
2020,
kits.
2021 kit at the end of the 2019-2020 season when they were still playing in the summer.
So
That was the best version of Pulisic anyway.
Yeah.
post lockdown. That's when he was informed too.
Lockdown Pulisic could have won the Ballon d'Or.
Mm.
Or Ballon d'Or. I got criticized for saying it wrong before.
And if you're looking and see my setup behind me, that's Justin's side of the room, all Chelsea.
Yeah, that's actually my stuff.
I had to turn the camera a little bit just to get some soccer in there. So
That yellow kit's reminded me of give me Solomon Kalou, Didier Drogba.
It's got Torres on the back.
Torres.
Yeah. Couple
Nice.
legends.
Chad, what are you wearing?
oh man, newest pickup in the collection. Cop today. Pumas Nike kit. 50% off. Had to do it. It's fresh. Collar jersey, Nike.
That's
I
nice.
love collared jerseys.
That is a sweet jersey.
I'm also wearing a collared jersey.
Hey, collared gang.
I have just the classic, respect to the classics, 2014 World Cup, Josie Altidore, white jersey with the collar. I figured it was a special occasion, right? I think this is a good jump into what we're talking about today, which is mostly European-based transfers, big name transfers, and like a little preview of most of the English Premier League and then like some other big teams in Europe. But we can't start this podcast without talking about the fact that Josie Altidore is going on loan from New England Revolution to Puebla in Mexico. So it's fitting that, even though you're wearing Pumas, that's still Liga MX. I'm rocking the Josie Altidore. So, show respect. I will be buying a Josie Altidore Puebla jersey because I need to add to my Liga MX collection.
I thought we were talking big transfers.
That's the biggest transfer of the week, dude.
Yeah. Not even 5 minutes in, we're already talking about Josie.
Not even, yeah. So here's the thing. This is his fresh start to get back in the national team, because when he leaves the Revs in Toronto, people just think, he went through a bad spell or whatever. If he just starts killing it for Puebla, like they could be like, oh, Josie's in form again, let's call him up. And I feel like there's enough buzz right now where people still think he can get called up. I think it's going to happen, man.
I honestly can't tell if you're serious or not, but
I'm serious. That's if he averages a goal every other game, right? If he plays between now and, I guess they have a full season right now, between now and whenever it is, mid-November, before they have to go. If he plays 20 games and has 10 goals, he's got to get a look, right? You can't just ignore it.
I don't know if he gets a look.
Is that likely to happen? No. I mean, you said the same thing when he joined the Revolution. Dude, it just shows that no team in MLS wants him.
Yeah, the Revolution are kind of beat though, man.
They're kind of beat. They won the Supporters Shield last year.
Yeah, and they're not that good this year.
They lost their starting number 9.
Yeah, dude, Josie's still good. And this is a debate for another day. But his link-up play with Pulisic is something else. And I think it's a new phase of his career. He's a playmaker. He can play off a false 9.
Pulisic is something else.
Okay, go back and look at the highlights. we wouldn't have even been close to qualifying for the World Cup if him and Pulisic didn't hit form midsummer. Just go back and watch the highlights of every game, and he's really
I was
good.
just coming at you with the facts right there, and
What facts? You didn't come out.
No
Come on.
facts.
New England.
Dad's facts.
He was bad for New England. I'm not saying that, but like you could not score goals and still play okay too.
Respect that you still like him, that he's your favorite player, and that you still like.
Yeah, that I could disagree with some of his like antics off the field, or how he's like what I think the way he's like treated his body, or how he's gone about like progressing in his career. But like you got to respect like your favorite player is not your favorite player just for the on-field performance. It's for like why you started liking soccer and what it means. Same thing with like a favorite club too. Deep. We're getting deep.
Yeah,
All right. You guys want to start us off with the transfers? What do you got?
Where should we start, man? Transfers are coming thick and fast.
Thick and fast. I don't think that's the saying.
Sure
So, all right. So let's start with just like biggest news of the like Premier League window, I think, or one of them is like some of Arsenal's business, right? So Chad and I went down to the Arsenal Everton game in Baltimore a couple weeks ago. Chad's obviously an Everton fan. Everton was terrible. Arsenal was like pretty decent. What's some of the business they've done? What do you guys think?
Picked up Jesus. That's a huge pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus and Zinchenko, both from City. Fit right into Arteta's side. He learned from Pep, so now he's stealing his players even too.
Mm-hmm. So to me, it looks like I have no idea where Zinchenko would play. Jesus just fits in as a 9. He's just going to play there. He scored some goals in the preseason. Looks pretty good so far.
Yeah, so when they played against Chelsea, Zinchenko played off the left.
Mm-hmm.
Ben White played right back, and they played that kind of hybrid 4-3-3.
Mm-hmm.
Zinchenko came into the midfield in attack. So
really, who was the wide left player?
Wide left was Martinelli, Saka off the right.
We saw a little bit of that when we went. Yeah.
And,
which Zinchenko fits perfectly in that type of role, right? Because he's a left back and a center mid.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, news today is that Partey is the guy who's like getting charged with assault or whatever. So
yes,
I saw a video. They're taking down Partey's like poster outside of the stadium. So Zinchenko is probably going to have to play, whether it's some kind of hybrid role or just straight up as a defensive midfielder, because they're playing. Like that's a lot of load to put on a guy like an El Neni or somebody else that would fit in Partey's role.
Speaking of more transfers, I think they could shift Odegaard back to one of the 6-8 spots, partner him up with Xhaka, and the guy they got from Porto, Fabio Vieira, is a hell of a player. They could put him up top, not up top, in the 10 spot.
You think he's ready to play?
Me and Chad were watching highlights of him the other day. He looks like a pretty good player, but might take him a little bit. Prem's definitely a big jump from Portugal.
He's like a very skinny guy. Would probably get bodied. Like in his highlights, every time he gets touched, he just flops.
Sounds like you, bro.
Very left-footed too.
Yeah, I know he's left-footed in Portuguese, but like I want to say he kind of plays like Bernardo Silva.
Ooh.
Great set piece player.
Sounds good to me.
Looking at everything I just said, probably a player for the future.
Mm-hmm.
But still, give him a run.
Remind me to talk about this so we don't get off track from Arsenal. Just remind me to talk about the Portuguese later, because look at the Portuguese influence on Pep's Manchester City. Now you got the Portuguese coming into Arsenal. Like Portugal knows what they're doing with this youth setup, but let's talk about that later because there's a big Portuguese move later on. But you mentioned Xhaka and like Odegaard slipping back. I thought just based on like what I saw against Everton, which is just a preseason friendly and some games online, Xhaka was actually like floating a little bit higher than I would have thought. I just think Everton was sitting so deep that it was just like they're not very dangerous in the back. So like Xhaka can just find the ball, find whatever he wants, let Martinelli stay a little wider. And then Odegaard was dropping deep. I think Odegaard's just good enough to like kind of do what he wants sometimes. And like, he doesn't have to be that disciplined, but he was coming like fairly deep for the ball. So it ended up being like Partey deeper, then Odegaard, then Xhaka was like the higher of the three, which is kind of funny. I always rated El Neni. I think El Neni's really good.
Really?
Maybe he gets. I love El Neni. I really like Guendouzi too, but they let him go.
Yeah, I mean, I think El Neni's a solid backup, but
Yeah.
if you lose Partey, that's a big hit for them.
How many goals do you guys think Jesus scores this season?
Dude,
Is he a legit difference maker?
He's up there.
He really is.
Like up there for top scorers in the league.
Now, are you going to pay 10.5 million on fantasy prem for him? Kind of good or no?
That's pretty. Like, what's Kane, for example? Is Kane like 12?
He's probably like 12. Haaland's probably like 12. I haven't looked at the prices yet.
But like Jesus was on fire at the end of the season for City. Scored 4 in one game. And he's scoring goals in preseason for Arsenal.
Dude, he looks
fits, you know, like
so
Arteta as a coach there at City just fits, right?
Yeah.
So I could see him scoring 15.
Yeah, I would agree. If we said over under 15, I'd probably, if he stays healthy, I'd probably take the over just because, like, who else do they have? Lacazette left, right? Who else is going to play that role? It's Nketiah, who's like a different type of player, and then Balogun, who like didn't get a whole lot of run in the preseason.
Yeah, Balogun's waiting for his call up to USA national team.
He's got to break into Berhalter's side first before he gets Arteta's respect. And then Nketiah taking the 14 shirt was kind of like caused a ruckus. No one's taken it since Henry.
It's not retired though. They don't retire numbers in soccer. It's kind of just like
nobody does unless like someone has like a weird number. Like, because think about it, all of the best players like 10, 9, 8.
Yeah.
So like nobody like retires it. So like I think it was just like out of respect. Like 14 is a weird enough number where you just kind of leave it off to the side.
True.
Anything else like intriguing with Arsenal? I think it'll be interesting to see like what they do at right back, whether it's Tomiyasu, Cedric.
Yeah, they had Ben White there when they played Chelsea.
Yeah, especially if they're going to play him like a center back.
Yeah, so this is kind of what changes all that is William Saliba. So if he's able to play center back for them, they can slide Ben White out to the right. Really good ball playing center back, good progression center back, big, tall, strong Frenchman. They got him from Marseille.
Yeah, well, he was on loan last season, and
so they got him and then sent him right to loan.
Mm-hmm.
So he's back now. That's a big addition for them. He's supposed to be a really good player.
All the Arsenal like commentary I heard last year was like, "What, we need a center back? Why did we loan him out?" But like maybe it's going to pay off this season where he gets a full season of like consistent starting at a good level, and now he comes back and he looked really good from what I saw. So if you go Saliba, Gabriel, and Ben White, and then like Zinchenko in that left back. I also really like Kieran Tierney too. So maybe Zinchenko slots up and Tierney plays left back. I'm not sure. But.
They also so the quote from Arteta the other day is they want to just surprise teams. They want to play differently every game. They're going to be able to play Zinchenko and have the inverted fullback, and then Tierney's completely different type of fullback. Yeah. He's going to want to overlap everything and be wide. So Nketiah, we talked about him being a different forward. So they're going to have a lot of options. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Maybe Arteta like is way more tactical than we think, or he's going to use the tactics to like just straight up like change it every game. You don't see that a whole lot.
What run do you think Turner's going to get in goal?
The cups.
The Zach Steffen time.
More minutes, him, Turner this season or Zach Steffen last season. Maybe Ramsdale goes down. I don't know. I don't see him like beating out Ramsdale for the job.
Nah. Against Everton, like, I don't know if that's just like what a high level goalie does. Like, I've never gone to a game and been like, yes, like, let's watch the goalie. And like, Turner was there. So I was like, all right, like, that's cool. Let me watch Turner for a little bit. Every time he got the ball, it was quickly up, run to the top of the box, and look to throw it real quick.
Really?
Yeah, every single time.
Just get the attack started.
He'll make this like crazy, like you might have to dodge a few people in the box, make a crazy catch, go on the ground, hold it for a second, and then gets right up and sprints to the top of the box to try and throw it.
Yeah. Let's see if he does that in games that mean something though too. Like it's easy to do that in a friendly. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's like some agreement there where they'll give him some games before the World Cup too. Like if he went to Arsenal with the agreement that like, hey, give me a few games, even if I'm not like the regular starter, like give me a couple games in net, like real Premier League games before that World Cup.
Yeah, it definitely is an interesting move for that exact reason. He's poised to be the goalie, but going to a club like Arsenal to be the backup.
Yeah.
Isn't Ramsdale in kind of the same situation, right? Like, isn't he fighting for the England #1 job too?
With who? Pickford?
Pickford, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Turner won that battle based on the July 16th friendly that we saw. I mean, well, Ramsdale, whatever. Anything else with Arsenal? What other couple things I just want to say, like as we, not so much transfers, but preview the season. I really like Martinelli, and I think Martinelli's really good. He plays a lot like Saka's a little bit like him as well, where like I love Saka because he just can like kind of get the ball and float and glide and move. And he just seems like he's like a smooth player, and I feel like that's just the way that like we talked about last podcast, that skillful generation developed. You know,
he's great. He's great. Yeah, he's a great transitional player. Like we were talking about, he'll be great for Ramsdale, going long early and stuff like that. One of the best in the Prem, if you can think about it, in space, in transition, going running that defense, making a decision.
And that's how you win games too. Like you could play all of like the short passes you want, but like eventually it's a guy getting in the box, getting fouled, or getting in the box, getting a shot off, taking a guy on, making something happen, getting a cross in, that kind of stuff. All right, cool. Anything else on Arsenal? Should we move on?
I think they'll improve. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I kind of think they could finish as high as I think 3. Could
yeah, I think 1 and 2. Everyone kind of's got 1 and 2, whether it's City, Liverpool, City, but I think they could reach third also.
Move on to the next big team.
Another London club.
No, I was gonna say Brighton. No, if you want to go like the biggest teams first, we're gonna go Chelsea.
Yeah,
I don't know.
All right, Justin, lead us off with Chelsea since that is your boys.
So we went out. We got Sterling. Well, they're just the last 4 months has just been an absolute mare at the club. We know the whole Roman situation and all that. So we went out. We got Sterling, Koulibaly. I have Gallagher as an addition because he came back on loan. He's a big ad. Player like Broja could help. So, but you lost a lot in Christensen and Rudiger. I'm not going to mention the last guy. He plays up top, Belgium. He's
big
gone.
guy, you know,
left-footed.
Barely scores any goals.
We don't need him.
He literally like somebody who was like Chelsea wanted to get rid of Luke or let Lukaku leave. Like they could have gotten money for him or sold him back, but like Inter to pay the $3 million or something to get him on loan. It's such like a good deal for like a guy who could like get that production back for Inter. So like I think Chelsea was just like, let's just cut it with this guy. Like they still have control over him because they own him, but like they're just like, we don't want this guy on our team. Yeah,
I think it's Chelsea loan army. So they just said, F it, let's just loan him out. We can sell him next year.
I think to let Christensen's like kind of solid. Rudiger was like world class for most of the last couple of years, and like to lose him on a free is ridiculous. And then just like to have those holes at center back and not even like all right. So they brought in Koulibaly, which ended up being like a bit of a last minute kind of thing. He went to Napoli and said like, I'm going to leave, get something for me. So what they spend like 40 million on Koulibaly, who is really good. He's like 31. Right. You still have another hole at center back that you got to fill.
Jules Koundé looks like he's going to go to Barcelona. That looks pretty set in stone. So looking at a couple other guys, Wesley Fofana is in the question. I like him as a player. 21, French, Leicester, was out most of the year last year, but in his season 2 years ago, I watched him a few times. He's a good player.
Those French guys.
But he's going to have a big price tag, those French guys. 21 French. You're going to have to pay 70, 80 million to get him.
It's almost like if you could do it, if you have the scouting network, go into the French league somewhere and get somebody rather than like you're paying a premium for a Premier League player. Now, Fofana is probably more of a sure thing than some guy in the French league that does the same thing, but you're going to pay that much for Gallagher. Like, I don't think he fits really in the as like a center mid in the 3-4-3, 3-5-2 kind of like setup.
Yep.
Under
I'd agree with that from what I've watched too.
Yeah.
He's not the greatest. He's not the best in possession. He's more of a transitional moment type of guy, good at pressing, runs hard. And when you play in like a 2 midfield set, he's good in a 4-3-3 because he's good in a 3 midfield set. He has room to just roam and run.
Yeah.
He's kind of in a weird spot. I don't really know how he's going to fare this year.
Yeah. Palace played just like a clean 4-3-3 last year, and that was really good for him. Sterling, like I've been on this podcast talking about how much I love Sterling. Like, yeah, he might not be the cleanest technically. He kind of has like an unorthodox run and first touch, and like yeah, he doesn't finish. Like, so you looking at Sterling trying to finish a ball, he might miss some easy chances, but he's creating those chances. He's such a good like runner off the ball. He occupies all the right spaces. He gets in the most dangerous areas in the box while he gets fouled and earns penalty kicks. So like if he brings that what he did at City to Chelsea, that's so lethal.
I agree with that. But was Sterling a priority? Like a player like Sterling, the first priority that Chelsea should have went after?
I think it was probably just let's just get talent in the building.
I think that was Tommy. Tommy Tooch was one of his big guys that he wanted. But from me being a Chelsea fan, I just think there's a huge hole up top and through the middle specifically. Unless we can get Sterling to somehow play up the middle, he's done it a little bit with City, a little bit with England, but I think the Kai Havertz number 9 experiment, I think it's got to be over in my mind.
You think Kai Havertz play more in like half spaces?
He's really like a shadow striker, like a 2 striker set. He's almost like your modern day 10, which is not really a thing. You guys have talked about that before. He just like I feel like he needs another guy to play next to him that he can sit underneath.
Almost like a Lukaku. Tammy Abraham back on loan. Maybe they should have tried to do that.
Like Havertz was pretty good last year as like number 9 and like with the 2 like inside forwards underneath him or whatever Chelsea play. I thought he was pretty good, but he
not a great finisher
the whole season as a number 9 too.
Yeah, I thought Chelsea like towards the end, like it's just like the kind of magic of the Tuchel like Champions League run like kind of ran out, and it was just like, yeah, they're good, they're better than these other teams, but like there's nothing like they didn't have that like kind of special like play style. I could see it kind of going south for them, even though Koulibaly's really good. I think Sterling's really good. I think they have like some like a good mix on that team. Like I don't see Pulisic really getting any minutes, unfortunately. Not getting any minutes, getting any consistent run as like a key guy. He's probably going to sub in. It'd probably be Mount on the other side, maybe Havertz and Sterling.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they've been running.
Yeah. I do think Reece James is going to take another like massive step forward. Guy's class.
He's already our best player, so
yeah,
he can only get so much better.
Yeah, get Chilwell back. Like who else? You got Marcos Alonso to Barca. Azpilicueta's like about to leave for Barca.
Yeah, and like we can't keep losing these guys like that. Like if we lose, he just played. He just started this game on just friendly. This friendly I just watched a couple hours ago. Azpilicueta started. So I mean, you keep losing guys like that.
Yeah, should have got rid of them 2 months ago.
Yeah,
right when it started.
Dude, I mean, we still got guys like Ross Barkley who are just soaking up the money. So Emerson, guys
I'm sure they would much rather have Dusan Tadic than Ross Barkley on their team, but you know, Tuchel came out after they got like walloped by Arsenal a couple weeks ago and was like, "Yeah, we're playing bad because guys don't want to be here. They're worried about their like transfer news rather than like committing to Chelsea and building something here." So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Searching for his job.
Tuchel?
Yeah, the way Chelsea run through managers, I feel like, dude, if they end up 6th, or in a bad run of form for like 7-8 games, beginning of the season, maybe he's on the hot seat. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think the new
Yeah.
totally. I don't think the new director goes that far.
Could be different. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I think that, like Tuchel gives good stability. Whether they reach like the heights they need to, I don't know. But like at least he's like there and he's stable and he's known as like a really good manager. But I think their like transfer business is kind of a mess, right? Remember, do they still have the one lady that works in the front office that everybody says is like she left?
Yep, she was one of the people just in June. She left. Petr was high up in player development. He's gone. It's really been a whole turnover. So I'm definitely worried.
No coincidence that all of the transfers are a mess. The player recruitment's a mess because she leaves and everyone else leaves. And maybe that's why someone like Rudiger didn't want to re-sign, was because like he's not going to know the thing about the ownership or whatever. But like maybe there was some turmoil there like to start. And like Rudiger and those like letting guys leave on freeze was just like no. And like it's really like when the mistakes come in like 2s and 3s and 4s, like when they come in waves, that's when you really like get knocked down a peg. But when you're like a City or a Liverpool that could like nail like 3, 4, 5 of these trades. All right. So our last Zoom session got ended. I guess the time was up or something, but I'll piece them together. Shouldn't be too bad of a transition here. But yeah, so we were talking about Chelsea's kind of recruitment and their transfers. And I think leading up to that Champions League win, with Tuchel, they kind of not nailed a few transfers, but they really, Conte was playing well. I think they got the most out of Havertz and some of those guys, and like Mount was coming into his own. But now, and you know, Thiago Silva, but now it might be a bunch of misses. Like someone like Liverpool, they hit a bunch of these even little transfers, even if they're big too, like, and it just adds up over time. But you know, someone like Chelsea now, if they miss on a few of these, or they just do bad business and the money kind of dries up in 2-3 years, like that's when you really like kind of find yourself in a hole like Arsenal has the past 10 years or so.
Yeah. Tuchel, realistically, Havertz and Timo was the last window with Lampard. So
yeah,
in all honesty, Tuchel has gotten Lukaku, Sterling, and Koulibaly. That's really it, of guys that he's wanted. So he's still really in the process of building his team. Yeah, Arteta just went and signed 12 guys.
Yeah. See, anything else that, like, I think we're all in agreement that like they probably end up a little bit farther down the table than they have past couple of years.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah.
All the other teams that they're going to be battling with, like, seem to get a lot better. They improved a lot, and Chelsea maybe got a little better, but at best stayed stagnant.
Yeah. What do you guys want to talk about Barca now? Because like I love the memes where it's like Barca just follow like whatever Chelsea wants to do. They just kind of like piggyback off of that and like buy their players, because like they have like Alonso's there now, right? He's in Barca now, and then Azpilicueta is going to go soon. Like I guess they say. Chelsea was in for Rafinha from Leeds. Barca buy Rafinha from Leeds.
Lewandowski.
50 million, yeah. And then they just go out and buy Lewandowski, which I think is a great signing. But the other ones are kind of question it. They go out and buy who else they bought? They
got Koundé, they got Christensen for free though.
They bring in Andres Christensen for free. Koundé was what, 30 million or something?
More than that.
Was it?
50, probably minimum.
They got Kessie.
He's a good player. Yeah, Kessie was a free, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's good business. He's good. Now, it doesn't fit the traditional like Barca kind of like he's like a more like powerful kind of like ball winning like box to box kind of midfielder than like you would think of Barcelona, but maybe they're just planning to like cash in on Gavi or Pedri and sell them later on. I don't know.
They looked incredible the other day. They played Juventus in a friendly last week. Wow. They're going to be good. Dembele looked like the best player in the world for a good 20-minute stretch. So they re-signed him also. Chelsea were trying to get him.
Yeah, I think that's good business to bring Dembele back. And I think he showed flashes to end last season that he still had it. It was just injuries and stuff.
He's an assist machine. His crossing is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
My take on Barcelona is that, first of all, for the longest time, I consume a lot of ESPN FC content.
It's ridiculous.
Like, I don't know if you guys feel
Getting
this,
brainwashed.
but I hate when they talk about Barcelona. They're just like, oh, what's Barcelona do? They're in financial trouble. I don't care. I care about like what's on the field, you know. So like, I thought they would stay like, you know, financially stable, while also having these young players come up, right? Like you got Pedri, Gavi, we mentioned it. You give them the opportunity to play and give them minutes, because like they're not going to sack Xavi, anytime soon. And do they really think they're going to pass Real Madrid and win the league? Still, with all these signings, no, they're not. They're not going to win the league.
I think it's a battle this year.
Yeah, I think it's close.
I really do.
You think it's close?
I think it's a little closer than you're saying.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, but think about it. They spent all this money and still not even 100% sure if they're, or not even sure that they're going to reach the level that Real Madrid is at.
You can't talk about how you don't care about the business and financial trouble and be like, oh, they spent all of this money. Like, if all you care about is on the field, they just bought Lewandowski. Like, set the money aside. $40 million for Lewandowski is not bad, but he's probably going to get paid a ton of money in the 2-year window, like the first 2 years of his 4-year deal. But like, dude, like he could score 30 goals this season. Again, like that's just an extra. Why not?
He's not.
Who said? You just said you don't care about the business, so you don't care about the money. Dembele's an assist machine, and like that all adds up to Lewandowski being good. So separate the money and just look at the player on the field.
I think their player decisions were pretty bad. What I was saying, like
it's like their little brother got in charge of their career mode and just got all the. They just went out and signed everyone.
He doesn't plan on like doing the career mode like all the way through. He just wants to go like a couple seasons, so he just buys some older guys.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that if Barcelona is a financial trouble, why do they keep buying attackers? What I would like them to do is just relax. Let me enjoy my ESPN FC content without them talking about Barcelona every single time I want to go listen to it. Stevie Nickel. Let them just play the kids.
New England Revolution's own Stevie Nickel.
Can I get a midfield of Frankie de Jong, Gavi, and Pedri, please?
No. Is de Jong going to go to Man U?
Yeah.
You see all this? If they don't let de Jong go, they might have to send Rafinha back. What?
That's crazy.
Have you heard any of that?
I haven't read any of that. Like, I haven't gotten that deep in the business stuff. But, like, it sounds like all of this stuff was planned because Frankie de Jong's first 2 years of the contract, if he's there for the second two, so that would be starting this season, then they have to pay him like a ridiculous amount more. And if they don't sell him, then like they're gonna have to pay all of it, something like that. It was like guaranteed.
Yeah. Like, so when they like went down the shitter, don't know if that's allowed on the podcast, but I just brought it out.
I don't think we monitor language on here. Okay. I'm sure maybe Alexi's dropped a couple curse words.
When they went down the shitter, they actually like. I just lost my train of thought. We just went on the side. I'm sorry.
And somehow it was about Frankie de Jong. Like, I think they were planning. I think they made these transfers with the Frankie de Jong $75 million for Man United in mind.
Oh yeah. No, that's what I was gonna say. So they like deferred the payments when they went down. They were just like, "All right, we'll pay you later."
Yeah.
And then there was another guy. It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. And Frankie de Jong doesn't want to leave either. They're like, "Well, you get paid more at Man United." And he's like, "No, I want to stay." And he's like, they're like trying to convince him to leave, I think. And maybe it was just like, yeah, we like Frankie de Jong. He was going to fit with Ronald Koeman, didn't work out. And I think they still like him, but they're like, oh, we got Kessie from AC Milan, and a few of these guys have developed nicely. So like, you're kind of a luxury, and like we find more value in the other guys. So like, let's just take our money. And de Jong must just not be having it. And I don't know. I like de Jong. So would it be cool to see him at United, where like it's easier for me to watch him every week? Yeah. Probably.
Well, did you see what they've been doing with him? They've been playing him center back. They played him at center back the other night. Who'd they play the other night? Juventus? Maybe.
I might watch that game because I want to see him at center back.
One of the friendlies, he was playing center back. This is like, and he played there last preseason too, I think. I don't know if they had injuries at center back, and there's like, this guy's not going to play center mid for us this season, so might as well play him at center back.
Who's going to play center back for him this season? I mean, Araujo might be playing some right back.
Christensen.
Yeah, it's looking thin there.
Raul Garcia. Is that his name?
They just
Eric
signed
Garcia?
What?
Eric Garcia?
Eric Garcia. Who's Raul Garcia?
I have no idea.
some random Spanish guy. Just
There's probably a Raul Garcia somewhere out
There's
there.
probably plenty of Raul Garcias. There's probably a few that play for Puebla or something. Yeah, Eric Garcia. So like I guess they have depth there. Maybe it's Alonso and Jordi Alba for left back. Maybe Dest can play on the left, he can play on the right. Like I think it's a good team. And like I'm kind of excited to see like they're gonna be better than people think because I think people associate the financial mess with the on-field mess. But Javi's a good manager.
he's got them playing ball. Java
Yeah.
does. They looked really good the other day.
Now, don't let that distract you from the fact that like I still think the front office has no idea what they're doing. And like they're going to be in financial trouble again probably, and like they're going to have to sell guys off and whatever. But like you hit the lottery with Gavi and Pedri, and I mean Busquets is coming off the books soon. Like right, like Busquets probably going to start this season, but he'll probably retire. So that's a big salary you get out. Maybe you get 50 to 80 million for one of the two center mids.
I thought Busquets and PK, maybe Alba as well, took like a pretty big pay cut. You know,
They might have.
They did to
I
help
could
the
see
club,
that.
like during the whole Messi thing.
I don't know.
That's what I heard. I mean, like, who actually knows? Like,
You got sources in there?
Is
You got
anyone,
sources at the Camp Nou?
is anyone looking at their balance sheet or their?
The cash flow statement?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah, business talk. All right, so I think we covered Barcelona pretty well. Let's move back to the Premier League. We covered Chelsea. What do you think? You want to go to another? Well, if we're just kind of going in, like, if we go in alphabetical order here, we want to touch on the
in
big.
London.
Stay in London. Fulham? No, I'm just joking. Why don't we touch on Leeds real quick?
I like it.
Because okay, some of these guys I don't know that I'm kind of trusting are good players, but like Jesse Marsch stays, he keeps them up. They sell Rafinha, but they use that money to bring in Tyler Adams. They got the Brendan Aronson deal done quickly. Mark Roca, probably a good signing. Some of these other guys I don't quite know, but like I feel like it's a good sign when you get your business done early and you use those funds to. So they have this Rafinha money coming in, and they use the funds on certain guys that they know that they want. You know what I mean?
Yep. They
Like
sold Calvin Phillips too. So I'm
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
at what I have here. They actually made $1 million this window for now.
Mhm.
They don't go out and get anyone, which that's good business. That's what you need to do if you want to stay alive at a bottom tier team in the Prem.
They
Yeah,
made a single dollar.
$1.
$1.21, I think.
Their FIFA
1 million and
1 million.
their FIFA manager mode
Your spreadsheets.
objective was just to make a profit. But so are they? They'll probably be healthier than last year. Probably, I think they'll be better coached. Jesse Marsch greater than Marcelo Bielsa take. I think they'll have a clear identity of like transition, tackling football, like getting stuck in kind of thing.
it's a similar identity. I think it'll translate too.
Yeah.
For like obviously they're both pressing style teams. I was
Yeah.
reading an article earlier. Even under Marsh and under what's his name? I'm losing it. I forget.
Bielsa.
Yeah, Bielsa. They fouled the most in the Prem, which makes sense.
Yeah.
They're pressing, they're getting high up the field, they're fouling. So it was just
The
an
only-
interesting-
The only major difference is like Bielsa is very like man oriented,
Mhm.
while Marsh is very like zonal oriented. So it's like reduce the space. We go together. There's one guy coming. There's two guys going. You're going in waves rather than Bielsa's like win your individual battles, like run them all over the field. Where like yeah, Brendan Aronson always like presses the most like distance for like distance covered like in like the stats that they track. But I don't think it like hurts the players because I think they're like prepared for it. I think the Leeds players like they just kind of go wherever. So one game they could just be running like 10 miles without like them really being fit enough for that.
Yep. That was their problem too. They just got ran into the dirt. They were playing guys during when it was like a little bit of COVID and a little bit of everyone was hurt. Like, oh
Mhm.
man, they were playing guys that were like had no business being out on a Premier League field.
What do you guys think? You think Tyler Adams will do well at Leeds?
think he does
He's
well.
like the American Jorginho. I don't think he could do great, but I think he could work in a good team. Like he can move the ball around.
The American Jorginho. What do you think, Dad?
Needs players around him. Can't really do. He's not like. He's a promising U.S. like prospect. Like he's still young. Like people think he's so good, but really just he doesn't ever does really anything too crazy. Play simple.
Yeah.
Covers a lot of ground. Will fit the system. I think he'll do good. I mean, Calvin Phillips is gone, so the defensive mid spot's pretty open there.
Yeah. Marsh like loved him when Marsh was at Leipzig. Like he like loved Tyler Adams, and like people even came out and said like Marsh's favorite player is Tyler Adams. Like they were saying he like plays favorites, but I don't know. Like I watch him at least for the U.S. I don't think he's like that good, but like I feel like he could be like effective enough at Leeds to like play that role. I hope he gets consistent minutes because like at Leipzig he just wasn't. And you got to realize too, like Leipzig was such a high level. I mean, they made it to the Champions League semifinal a couple years ago. Like they're top three in there's three really good teams in Bundesliga. For the most part, it was like Bayern and Leipzig were the two best. And he was on one of them. He was on a top 10 to 12 club team in the world, like consistently.
That's a lot of praise from you. You're probably the biggest Tyler Adams hater right now.
How's that a lot of praise? I was just talking about the level of Leipzig. I wasn't talking about Tyler Adams also like barely played for Leipzig. Like every game you watch is like on the bench. So
yeah, he didn't play a lot this year.
Yeah, he really didn't play much.
I actually didn't even realize this, but they managed to finish a point behind Everton. There's no way they can be that. Like they're gonna improve, right?
Yeah,
I think they'll improve this year.
I think Leeds improved.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah.
And just like the whole new they got all their guys early in the window too. So that's another thing. Like with a team like Chelsea, like we're gonna be getting guys into August, like 2 games into the season, trying to figure out our tactics. But they should be nice and solid on what.
It's such a good sign when a team like knows the business they want to do and they just do it. And like Rafinha was class, but Calvin Phillips barely played last year. He was always hurt, so like that's a plus. And Jesse Marsh, he's got that team unity. You know what I mean? He's giving halftime team talks in half German and half English and getting stuck in. He's gonna have them rolling. He's gonna do team huddles at midfield.
Yeah, I wonder if he did the 11v11, 99, and 77 grassroots courses like I did.
I think he obviously did. He teaches them. He probably could teach like the A license or whatever. Big grassroots guy. We should do a whole podcast on
my experiences,
on your coaching journey.
On my experiences, I have a few takes about my coaching.
Write them down and we'll talk about it because I feel like people would like to listen to that.
It's on another episode.
That'd be cool.
Okay, so yeah, that was enough of Leeds talk, I guess. Real quick on Fulham, I had no idea they bought Mbabu, the outside back from Wolfsburg.
Yeah, that just happened like today or yesterday. That's one of the more recent signings. Like 6 million too. Really good business.
I feel like a lot of these deals, maybe he's like late in his contract. Because I feel like the transfers are either big, like 50, 60 million, or like 5 million. There's no in between.
Yeah.
But he was good. I watched him so much when after COVID, when Bundesliga was the first league back, and then I just ended up getting really into Bundesliga. Like I feel like I just watched Mbabu all the time.
Andres Pereira, is that the Andres Pereira from
Man U?
Man United?
Yes, it is. So they've done some good business, but they lost guys. They lost Carvalho, Liverpool signing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they finished like top of championship by a little ways. But losing Carvalho, that's big. They lost Zambo and Guisa, former Napoli center mid, good player.
Yeah.
Seri, former Nice center mid, another good player.
Seri.
What's that?
Where's Seri going?
Hull City, I think.
So back to the championship.
Yeah, he's 31. He's an older gentleman, but
okay.
That's still tough to
people were dubbing him like the next Conte.
Yeah.
For a little bit.
The championship Conte.
I remember the name. Championship Conte. There you
go. Yeah, so we're just moving on. So Leicester kind of did nothing, right?
Nothing.
I still think they improved though, because they went almost the whole year with no Vardy, no Fofana.
Yeah, get rid of all those injuries, like get all those guys healthy again. How about Liverpool? You want to talk about Liverpool?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What do you guys think? So they lost. So let's just run through this here. They lost Sadio Mane. What was it? 40 million to Bayern Munich. Minamino, Origi, lost Nico Williams, Ben Davies. Bought Darwin Nunez for about 100 million. Calvin Ramsey, I'm not sure who that is. And then like we just talked about Fabio Carvalho. So it's really like, can Nunez replace what they lost with Mane?
No. That's my
Facts.
bold take. But
Factos.
just watching the Nunez, the Liverpool training clips, I mean,
The training clubs are terrible.
he just doesn't look up to par. I mean, come on.
He looks like so like he can't, like he's stuck in mud or something. Like he's just like running in sand.
In this session before that or something because the way he's like that slow.
He did some Bulgarian split squats.
So he scored 4 goals in a preseason game, which is impressive. 3 goals and then got a penalty kick.
Mm.
But dude, even in that game, the ball's being played in and it's just hitting the back of his heels and going the other way. He's missing layoffs, like just.
He's getting clamped up in like a 1v1 drill where like you have the freedom to choose which guy you receive the ball from.
That clip is
clamped
awesome. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, but okay, like let's say Nunez is pretty close or like somewhat close to his level like last year in the Champions League, right? Are they close to as good of a team as they were last year or in years past?
No.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah,
I think they're just
Liverpool,
a little worse, but I still think they're Liverpool. They're still, it's 1A and 1B with them in City, in my opinion. So I think they're still up there.
I think they've fallen down. And maybe it's just like Liverpool fatigue because like it's just kind of like, you've seen enough of Liverpool. I don't think Klopp's like class guy here, but Diaz has got to like keep his level so high, like it was for most of last year. Is Salah's production gonna like stay at that level? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then
also could be interesting
or,
if they throw. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Could be interesting if they throw Jota in there if Nunez is not playing the greatest.
There's another rumor that Firmino might leave, might go to like somewhere like Juve.
I could see that.
I think Salah will struggle this year. Well, not struggle because he's gonna get close to 20 goals.
That's bold.
Yeah, he's gonna get close to 20 goals every year.
Okay.
Not struggle. But like he kind of top of the box likes to link up with the 9, the false 9. You know, is Nunez that good at linking up as Mane or Jota or Firmino? No.
Mm-hmm.
Will he get as many chances to score? Probably not. So he'll probably have a down year in goal scoring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no way they could be as explosive. Like maybe they're just as good of a team, but like there's no way that they're going to have the same goal differential they had last year where like they could just like have a good day and beat someone 3-0, 4-0. I don't think they could do that because Mane was so good at like exploiting the space. So if a team didn't have that space covered or if they got their press wrong, it was like Mane and Salah like getting in behind or getting in these dangerous areas. Similar to how we talked about Raheem Sterling, how he takes up good positions and makes the right runs. Mane was really good at that as well. And without that, like you just don't replace that, no matter how good Diaz was last year or Jota can be or Nunez.
We're going to see a slightly different Liverpool in attack because Nunez, the type of striker Nunez is.
Yeah, a little bit like Manchester City with Erling Haaland too. We'll get to that.
Also, they signed, what's his name, Calvin Ramsey, backup right back. They haven't really had one. Nico Williams played occasionally, but
Trent's out the door.
Yeah. Trent played like literally every game. So now he can get a little bit of rest. And I don't know if this is a dumb take or not, but come on, just play Trent further up the field at some point.
Who is Calvin Ramsey? Where did he come from?
I think he's like a young Englishman, probably League One or Championship.
Be good enough to play in the Premier, like get minutes in the Premier League?
You could throw him out there against, I don't know.
I watched the video.
Everton.
He's a very good crosser. Calvin Ramsey, just like Trent. But Trent likes to whip him, but Calvin Ramsey likes to drive him.
Drive him? And then right to Nunez's big head.
So I think a guy to look out for on Liverpool this year really needs to take a step up, who I thought would play better last year, is Harvey Elliott. He's kind of is he a wide player? Is he a center mid in that team? He's definitely a center mid in that team, but I'm gonna have to see something from him this year if I believe that he's a player.
Yeah.
And it'll really test Liverpool. Like they've like smashed their recruitment 4 or 5 years ago, getting all of these guys in, getting them under contract. Now it'll test them again. Like, can they like rebuild on the fly a little bit with, and so what's their midfield situation going to look like? Fabinho, Henderson, Keita, or Fabinho, Keita, Thiago?
Thiago. Yeah, it's definitely Fabinho in that loan. Like they need him in the 6 role, and the other two are up in the air.
Henderson, Keita, Thiago. You just said Elliott, got Curtis Jones.
Yeah, and then
good.
Fabio Carvalho too. So
yeah, Carvalho is a good player too. He was probably Fulham's best player, so he's a big signing for them too.
He's not going to be like a bench player. Like I think he's going to start some games.
Yeah, they said Fulham played some really good soccer last year, so that'll be kind of interesting. Yeah. So you want to move on to Manchester City?
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think this is pretty clearly the best team in the league, and I think they could win it with a little bit of margin this season.
Agreed.
So they lose Sterling, who I believe is a big loss. Whether you replace his talent, like like just the runs that he makes and like what he opens up by getting in those dangerous spots, whether it's in the box, whether it's in those like assist zones, like to the just inside the box, to the right or left of the goal. That he's a big loss.
Right, Justin? Cutbacks.
Cutbacks.
Yeah, cutbacks.
That's how they score, man.
How you got to score.
It's just about getting in those zones, and you obviously lose Jesus and Zinchenko. Not huge losses because I think those guys will be like replaced. That's Fernandinho. Fernandinho go somewhere.
Palmeiras or some team in Brazil. He's done.
He'll be good for them though. Like that's kind of like a signing for them.
Yeah. Go back to Brazil. Have a blast.
Yeah. So they bring in Haaland, obviously. New backup keeper Ortega because Zach Steffen's out. He went to Middlesbrough.
Correct.
Zach Steffen. Calvin Phillips and Julian Alvarez in. I think there was rumors that they were going to loan Julian Alvarez out. Came from River Plate, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
They like officially signed him last window in the winter and then loaned him right back. So that could be something. Maybe they switch your head or something like that. But yeah, City, they're going to be good. I mean, that's not really a bold take there. But.
And maybe they view Alvarez a little higher than the general public because like they got him without the guarantee that they were getting Haaland. So maybe it was like let Alvarez and Jesus kind of compete for that kind of forward rotation spot. And then they had the chance to snag up Haaland and they're like, all right, we got to do this. We'll deal with this later. And then that gave them the freedom to sell Jesus, which is crazy. Like, it's crazy that selling Jesus gets them like half of Haaland. Like, that's good business to me.
Yeah, they've had some great business. They're 50 million in the plus, getting rid of Sterling, Jesus, and Zinchenko, and getting Haaland for 75 million.
Like, you're not going to find a whole lot of guys. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are like higher on Zinchenko than me. I don't think Zinchenko's like world class. Like, he's good. 40 million good. Like, that's a bit crazy.
That is a lot. The double position helps. He can play in the midfield. That helps a lot.
So if they line up with, they still have Ake. There was rumors Ake was going to go.
Like he was Chelsea. Like the Chelsea.
Yeah, because that would be a good spot for like a left center back and a 3 in the back. Ake goes.
Yep, because he was playing out like right back, left back for them a couple times. I mean, he's a former Chelsea man. So
yeah, that was a while ago too, right?
Yeah, we had him when he was supposed to be like the next stud center back. And I mean, he's good. He's center back for City, but he was supposed to be world class.
And then you still got Stones, Diaz, Laporte, Walker, all of those guys like similar. You know, who's going to be the? I guess it's solely Rodri in the defensive mid spot now. I guess unless you play Gundogan there.
Calvin Phillips.
Oh yeah, true. Why did I not
there
think
it is.
That? So. Do they play? So here's a trend. Like a lot of teams, like they build up in a 4-2-4. So do they play Rodri, Calvin Phillips, double pivot in that kind of build up 4-2-4? Maybe when they get pressed against teams. I don't know if Calvin Phillips is good enough playing out like that.
I see them playing more of a 4-3-3 and then it becoming a 4-2-4 by just they can play KDB and Bernardo at the same time and just have one roam up into the front line.
I always think they're best when Gundogan's on the field though too. Like he's not individually better than Bernardo Silva or any of these guys, but it's like they're better with Gundogan on the field.
He won him the league.
Did win in the league. Brought him on, scored. Who was that last game against?
Villa.
Villa. Yeah.
So what a
Because
game.
Coutinho scored. That would have been awesome. That was a fun last day last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was good, yeah. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many minutes Calvin Phillips gets to start, but Rodri's definitely in there. I think De Bruyne's definitely in there. Haaland, I would assume, starts just about every game. I'm sure they'll manage his minutes, but like he's not going to be a rotation for. Like he's going to play all the time.
Who, Haaland?
Yeah.
Hopefully,
I'm not all the way convinced on the Haaland Man City experiment. I'm really interested in see how it's going to play out.
Yeah. I don't think they bought him with a forward prototype in mind, as they were like, let's use this forward in our system. But I think it's like, okay, would you rather play Haaland or another technician like a Foden or a Bernardo Silva or something that could take up those spaces? And it's like, well, you could probably get anything you or coach up Haaland to do those things. But now you just have Erling Haaland in the box, just like heading things and scoring things and getting out in transition and pressing and just being an absolute menace. So I think it's like, let's figure all the other stuff out later. But like Haaland could play those roles anyway.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be
I just think
to watch.
City just face a low block. I mean, every single game. And coming from the Bundesliga, when you're at Dortmund, they're not necessarily facing a low block every time.
They're trying.
I imagine a lot of Haaland goals. He's getting in behind to the defense, getting long through balls, making these 30, 40 yard sprints. But that room's just not there. You don't really ever see guys on City. Most of their stuff is stagnant in the final third.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Haaland, City aren't signing him for the times they play Newcastle, right? They're signing them for the times they play Liverpool and Real Madrid.
And teams will come at them a little more, yeah.
It's not – they've won the Premier League 4 out of the last 5 years. So, now they're trying to win the Champions League. So, that signing is going to take them to, the next level.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Think about from his legacy, too. So I think him and Mbappe have been two of the best 5 players in the world. Haaland off and on when he's, been injured and that kind of stuff. And Dortmund hasn't been, that good to say that Haaland's been, a top 5 player. But, if he does it at Dortmund, scores all those goals in that kind of system, and then comes to City, scores goals for this good of a team in this kind of system, it's then you start it and he succeeds, then you start putting him up there with the best forwards of all time. Then he's up there with Henry and Brazilian Ronaldo and a Del Piero, these guys who just have done it and proved it over time, Ibra. I think he's I love it. I'm so excited to watch Man City.
I'm excited to see him in the Prem. It's going to be awesome to watch him every weekend.
I wonder who they play first week.
That's something we should have. We should be all that.
We should have that in front of us.
Dad, you got it?
Maybe in 20 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, do we all think City's going to finish first?
Yeah, that's probably if I was a betting man. If I am.
I too am a betting man. Yeah, I think Haaland over. So we said Jesus has a chance to score over 15 goals because he'll probably play every game. Does Haaland score over 20 league goals?
No,
because
I don't think so.
League?
Right.
There's too many mouths to feed, and I just don't know if it works right away.
Yeah, probably won't be. I could see them letting him take penalties just because they're all right, he's our talisman kind of
You
thing.
have to have the best crosser, best passer in the world.
Yeah.
When a ball's come on.
Are you talking about John Stones?
No. I was talking about never mind.
Yeah, John Stones, the best passer in the world.
Yeah, you're right.
So this Zoom's giving us all kind of fits. So we'll go for another 5 minutes. Then we got to end it, restart. But you guys want to talk about United?
Oh man, real quick. Man City play Liverpool tomorrow in the Community Shield.
Do I care about that? I guess if they play all their guys, but they're not going to show anything cool tactically. So it's like, all right.
West Ham first game of the season.
Oh, that's delicious.
That's a game and a half.
Yeah,
It is a game.
So you guys want to start talking Man United, and then we have to hop off. We'll just restart the Zoom.
Yeah, we could jump to menu.
All right. So they lost Pogba on a free to Juve. Lost Matic, lost Juan Mata, lost Lingard, Cavani, Dean Henderson. So that's a lot of massive wages off their books. They bring in Ericsson on a free. I don't know who this is. Tyrell Malacia.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how to say it.
Yeah. And then
Tyrell.
is Lisandro Martinez confirmed?
Yeah.
Yes.
How much?
40-ish around, I believe.
And then obviously Ten Hag is like, that's the big deal right there. I think it's one good business to get all of those names off your books. Like, yeah, is Pogba class? Yeah, but he wasn't doing it for Man U. All these old guys, just get them off the books and kind of reset. Ericsson kind of, just makes me a little nervous. I don't know how good he's still good, but he's like, is he good enough to make that big of an impact? I don't know.
Made a big impact for Brentford.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a big loss for Brentford. That's a little off topic, but I think he's a good player still.
Yeah. I mean, is he a lock starter? Like
No,
I don't know if anyone in that team is, to be honest.
Good point.
I mean, so center back, is Maguire necessarily the starter?
I think they said Maguire's still going to be the captain, Ten Hag said.
Yeah, but I mean, we talked about this with our coach at school, and he said you can't really come into a team and then knock the captain off. That's like, you can't really do that as your first thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Whether he starts and is the captain is the question.
And maybe you get back to like class Varane, which would be a big deal.
Yeah, so what's been happening is Maguire's been playing a little bit on the right center back. So that means Martinez, like, if he comes in, probably could be the left center back.
Yeah.
What does Ten Hag play? Do you know?
I think it's going to be something like a 4-2-3-1, but like, I'm sure we could see something that like is a bit of a hybrid. So if they get anything extra from like their fullbacks, which like, I don't know, is Luke Shaw good enough at attacking? Like, could you play like a 3 in the back with like, it's essentially defending with like Maguire, Varane, Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw.
So Malacia could come in and be the starter.
Yeah.
Where's he coming from?
Feyenoord. Played 98 games in the Eredivisie. Just looked it up.
He's good.
But yeah, he's tenured in Dutch league, so he's a player.
I mean, if Ten Hag saw him play, coached against him, and thought he was good enough to bring him in to Manchester United, like, he must think he's like pretty talented.
Or he thinks Wan-Bissaka is awful, and then it's just like, then he's just rolling with Delo, who's like,
I think he's a good player. See, I think he's the most slept on out of all. I think he showed me a lot last year when they started.
Wan-Bissaka?
No, Dallo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dallo's pretty good. All right, guys, let's hop off of this one, and then we'll jump on the new Zoom.
All right.
Then we're talking about Dello. All right, so this is technically part 3. This is our third crack at the Zoom. So we'll just, once again, piece them together. So we're talking about Man United and how Dello has impressed Justin, might take the starting reins as the right back. Moving forward, like further up the field, I mean, I guess Van de Beek's coming back. Do you play Van de Beek, McTominay, Frankie de Jong, McTominay, like a de Jong, Bruno midfield? I don't know. What are your thoughts in the midfield?
Fred's still there.
Yeah, true. Fred, I guess. Like he's Fred McTominay. What do they call him? McFred?
McFred. I just can't. McTominay just is not a Man United player. He can't even do it around the world.
Yeah, he's better than that.
Have you seen it? Have you seen the around the world where he grabs the ball?
Yeah, he like taps it between his legs. I still think I'm not as high on him as I was a couple years ago. I think he was just playing some good football at the moment, but I still think he's good. I just don't think he's like complimented. And also, like, he's playing with a team that's like a deadbeat team. Like there's no progress there too. So like,
How many years are Manchester United going to avoid signing a defensive midfielder?
Well, they're going after Frankie de Jong, so like
They could play Martinez there too.
yeah, I
That
guess
is true.
maybe some little hybrid action. I heard like one rumor and then it died down quick that Ten Hag was trying to bring Edson Alvarez with him. I was like, dude, Edson Alvarez struggles like in CONCACAF sometimes with the pace of the game and physicality. He would get ripped apart at Man United. I think he's overrated.
Well, I think Ten Hag knows a little bit more about football than you do.
How many podcasts does Ten Hag run? Do you think Ten Hag's completed the U.S. soccer grassroots? I don't think so, Chief.
No.
You think Ten Hag's ever spoken to Alexi Lalas?
True.
We got to talk about the elephant in the room, though. Is Ronaldo going to play for Man U?
Oh, great question. What do you guys say? I say no.
I thought I saw today that he's going to play in their next friendly.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think he stays at this point.
It's such a bad look on Ronaldo. This is my bold take. The whole, I want to be the highest goal scorer in Champions League. He's got 15 more than Messi. He wants to leave because he wants to go play for a team in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just a bad look for a guy who's been one of the greatest players of all time. It's not a great way to end it, in my opinion. He looks selfish. He was always an egotistical type of guy. He takes his shirt off when he scores goals. I mean, you know what you're getting with Ronaldo, but
do I say it? Should he go to Chelsea?
no, I don't think so.
Why? We're talking about how Chelsea needed a 9.
It's the ego. It's the ego thing. I can't honestly think of many teams that would be willing to take on a guy like Ronaldo at this point in his career.
Well, have you seen what Atletico Madrid's been doing?
They've been moving stuff around, trying to make money for him.
No, they've been all the fans have been protesting.
I saw that, yeah.
Banners and stuff.
No CR7.
So originally, when I saw the reports, I was like, all right, like he's like kind of like Ronaldo doesn't really want to play there. I don't think Man United really want him back unless he like accepted like a lesser role. So I was like, okay, he's just gonna like wait till he gets like a move somewhere. And now, like as it goes on, like there's not enough teams that like it's weird that he doesn't fit into more teams, but his ego and his wages are so big that like maybe he just kind of does, and he's just like, all right, I'll just accept it. Let me just like get some games to stay fit for the World Cup. But like if we're thinking of like possible landing spots for Cristiano Ronaldo, Chelsea's out of the question now. It'd be weird for him to go there now, right? I don't see him going anywhere else in the Premier League.
I can see him going back to Italy, playing for a team like Napoli.
That's what I heard today too. I think Napoli could be, and they have some money too. They lost Insigne. They got a little bit of money for Insigne, big money for Koulibaly, and their team is really like nothing right now. They lost a lot of players. So here's my thing. I think if there's there's one dark horse for me for Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think it's Ajax. Right? There's really no like correlation. Like he doesn't have like a Dutch, like he doesn't have the Dutch like style in him, but he can go to Ajax. Everybody enjoys playing for Ajax. He goes there, he scores 15 goals by early November, and it's just in great form for the World Cup. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Not a bad shout.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a bold move from the new coach that brings in Cristiano Ronaldo. It's a tough guy to manage.
Yeah.
And it's not in the Ajax like raise the kids kind of thing, but Ajax always have a few like really, really good veterans. Dusan Tadic, for example.
Ajax's number 9 right now is going to be a good player.
Who is it? Brabi?
Yep.
Yeah, he's good. But you get a chance to get Cristiano Ronaldo. Like it's still Champions League football. It's still like making a run at the Champions League. So they have money to spend. They made a ton of money selling guys.
He goes back to Portugal. I don't know, dude.
All right. So the other one that seems to make sense, right? He's not going to Juve. Could go to Napoli. Inter before Lukaku, and if they had some other money, Bayern Munich, like they could pay him, I guess. Any chance? Like they need a 9. They lost Lewandowski. Any chance Bayern Munich makes a play for him?
I don't think so.
I don't think he fits.
No, I just think like who's going to play central for them? Is it Gnabry? Is it
Mane.
Mane.
I think Mane is going to play like a false nine. I mean, then you have like Kingsley Coman, you have Sane. Like it's just you have like a front four of guys who are like more or less wide players. But
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see him going to Bayern. I think it's just as likely he goes to LAFC as he goes to Bayern.
it'd be kind of cool. Bayern, like they do have Bayern seem to always have money to spend because they're very efficient. So yeah, it's not a Bayern signing in terms of like efficiency and like Bayern get their moves done pretty quickly, but it was just kind of something I thought of.
Yeah.
But while we're on it, you want to just talk about Bayern? Like, what do you think of some of the stuff they've done?
Elaborate.
So what they do? They signed Delit.
They signed a lit for what was it, 80 million or 70 million, 60
Yeah,
million?
they stole him from Chelsea. That's who Tuchel really wanted.
Yeah, which to me, I don't know. So Juve signs Bremer, which you would think, okay, Bremer coming from was it Torino or somewhere?
Torino, yeah.
For 40 million, he's pretty good. Bremer and DeLitt, two center backs, you don't really have to rely on Bonucci. Then they just like out of nowhere, it's just like, yep, DeLitt to Bayern. It's like what? Like young center backs that are worth a lot that you could build around are like the unicorns in the soccer world, right? Like that's what you want. Like you don't find them, and then they're just going to give them away. Like not give them away. They got a lot of money, but like I don't know, pretty bold to sell them.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But
Chelsea did it with all their center backs, so they could go into the Chelsea issue where I watched the other day and Bremer didn't look the greatest, so they might go this year with a center back issue now. Chelsea did that. Yeah. So Chelsea's been going through that. We've gotten rid of guys like Tomori, gotten rid of Gahey, and gotten rid of Christensen. And we've gotten rid of 4 very, very good center backs in the last 2 years, and now we have no center backs. So
yeah, people are always looking for center backs, and now like Bayern have, you can play Lucas Hernandez, you could play Pavard as like an outside center back kind of thing. You have Upamecano, you have the Lit. I'm sure that there's like 2 or 3 like younger guys in that.
Sule, he's still there. He's a good player.
Who?
Sule.
Sule is on a free to Dortmund. I think it's a free.
Nice. That's a good move.
Yeah, it is. So they lost him, but I think Bayern looks strong right now, and they have Kimmich, they have Goretzka, they have Mueller, so they're strong in the midfield. They have
Alphonso Davies is on the Goretzka weight plan too. You've been seeing that.
He's just an absolute like animal,
just a monster.
Yeah. So Bayern looking strong. So we're out on Bayern for Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance. I've always seen Bayern's like sporting director, or whatever. Always, he seems like an intelligent guy. That's really Ronaldo is just bad business.
Yeah. Anything PSG? Any chance he goes PSG?
I've always said if Mbappe went to Real Madrid, Ronaldo should go to PSG. But Mbappe is obviously not going to Real Madrid anymore. So
yeah.
But imagine Messi and Ronaldo at PSG.
Yeah, it would be cool.
That would be pretty sweet.
That would be fun.
And I just heard today, Neymar is now linked to Manchester United.
That makes no sense at all. Like, come on, like that's just like
the transfer
remember the days where like United would buy like a Morgan Schneiderlin and people got hyped about it.
Neymar could be on his way out.
Neymar to Chelsea. I like that.
I did hear that too. It was like, there's no way that happens. I just don't see how that happens.
I mean, PSG's apparently his new manager likes a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2.
He's going to play as a 10 with Messi and Mbappe in front of him.
Okay.
Simple.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. Like you just put the two of the best players in the world up front, and then one of the best players in the world right behind them, and then you just figure it out as you go.
And you just hope you score more than them.
I wasn't saying Neymar wouldn't fit in that. I was just explaining for our audience.
So, do you want to just talk about PSG real quick too, since we're just kind of touching on some of these big teams?
Yeah, let's do it.
They have Kimpembe was like in the running for Chelsea. I guess that kind of cooled down. Any good center back could go to Chelsea, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like they're linked to everyone. Can't get anyone. So,
but if Kimpembe stays, they still have Marquinhos. They still have Ramos. Play Hakimi on one side, Nunez on the other. You could have like a Verratti, like Paredes might leave. They lost Di Maria. Idrissa Gueye might leave, but then you like your front three plus like a Sarabia coming in, like a front four.
Is a guy like Javi Simmons going to get into that first team this year? Did
He
they
got
loan him
loaned
out?
out to, I think, Feyenoord, right?
PSV.
PSV, yeah. Because PSV lost Götze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Javi Simmons was getting first team minutes last year, though.
Okay.
Yeah. What I think PSG's best option is to play with 3 center backs.
Mhm.
Use Hakimi and Nunez as wing backs.
At the left, Nunez at the left.
Paredes, Verratti. They also have Ander Herrera, and they also have someone else too. Who's their? Oh, dude, I'm blanking on the name. Sorry, but yeah, like you said, and then the front three would be the normal front three.
Mhm.
So I think that team's a little bit more balanced than what they did last year, which was just a 4-3-3, but out of possession, just like a 4-3.
They're Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar are just neutrals, but they don't play for the other team. They're just neutrals for PSG.
Yeah.
Oh,
They went out and signed a young French striker, 20 years old.
Right.
Hugo Etiquette, I believe is how you say it.
he's supposed to be pretty decent. I've heard about him. I don't
He's
know much
supposed to be
about
pretty
him.
decent. Yeah, I don't know much. 30 million.
So since we're talking about PSG, I feel like one, they brought in the guy to run PSG now, like the sporting director, is the same guy that built the really good Monaco team in 16-17.
Yeah.
And he built Lille's team that won the league a few years ago. So like this dude is like knows his French football.
And PSG's coach was Lille's coach.
Yeah.
This year he was Nice's coach, but he was Lille's coach when they won the league 2 years ago, and he was with that sporting director. So there's that connection there also.
Yeah. So PSG is going to be like, I think it's their year. Like Mbappe is just different, man. Like I don't know. He might be like my favorite like top level player in the world.
He could. Well, he's the best player in the world.
He kind of has been just like in spurts, and like I think we just don't recognize it because of Ligue 1 Uber Eats.
At the World Cup, it's going to be like where everyone will realize again, like this guy's the best.
Yeah.
That's what happened last World Cup.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. It's Wijnaldum and Danilo Pereira. Those were the 2 others.
Yeah. So speaking of that, oh, sorry, continue.
And Andrew, remember Vitinha signed?
Oh, dude, why did I forget about this? I also there's another transfer I forgot to talk about too. So they signed. This was what I was talking about earlier when I said, "Hey, remind me of these Portuguese guys." They signed Vitinha to play in that midfield as well. $40 million from Porto. So this time last year, I come on the podcast. I'm like, "Hey, like I was just watching some soccer, and I turned on the U21. I think it was U20s or U21 Euros, and I was watching Portugal, and they play like this like diamond in the midfield, and they're all just little like technicians. They're so clean on the ball." And I really like this guy, Vitinha. And it turns out Vitinha was on Wolves that previous season. Didn't really get much run, Portuguese Wolves. Goes back to Porto, just kills it for Porto. Porto run away with the league. And he goes 40 million. Like that's a big jump to go from like pretty much a free transfer back to Porto to 40 million to PSG. And he's like has looked pretty good in the preseason so far. And he's like getting some run. He could hit all kinds of passes. He's so technical. I think maybe they use him to start as like an attacking minded midfielder, like substitute to like kind of like unlock games and stuff.
He's
And
like
then
a number 8, right?
Yeah. It's
Box to box, kind of.
yeah. But my thing is that these Portuguese players, like what Portugal is doing in their development, like they've got it right. Like they're developing these guys, whether it's on purpose or just because like there's just so many good players and so many good like environments in Portugal. But yeah, man, Vitinha is awesome.
How could you forget?
I don't know. So there's one more after we get done talking about this next team. I got to bring up another transfer rumor. I almost forgot. But let's go back to so we're talking about PSG, and then you brought up Danilo Pereira and Wijnaldum. And who else? So let's go to Juve because somebody who's rumored to Juve. Paredes is rumored to Juve, right? So if we're talking about Juve again, what do you think of some of their business? I mean, obviously they signed Vlahovic in the winter.
Di Maria is great business.
Yeah, to get him on a free, I think he's going to be great.
He was
on a
great
free.
in their game the other day.
Yeah,
Did they get on a free?
Yeah.
Di Maria and Pogba.
Maria and Pogba, right? Yeah.
But Pogba apparently is going to be out. Could be a few months.
Yeah, I did see that with the whatever injury they found.
Yeah. Dude, Pogba's like, come on, Pogba. But Di Maria is going to be good. I think he's still got a lot left.
Di Maria is so good. One of the most underrated players. Like,
yeah, in his prime, I think he's one of the most underrated players.
That's a good shout. I like that. One of the most underrated players.
10 to 12 years, he's been like the most underrated player.
Factos.
Like, he's going to be so good for Juventus.
I mean, like, he's a little bit past his prime now, but yeah, I could see him being so good. I think he's going to play on the wing. I think Vlahovic through the center, and they've used a lot of their money on Vlahovic. And then you got Chiesa will be coming back at some point, but he's still out for another couple months, I think. I think Weston McKennie is going to get a lot of run, especially with Pogba out. But they've been talking about maybe selling him.
Their midfield looks deep. Locatelli, Zakaria.
Yeah, I love Zakaria, Locatelli,
Arthur, Pogba, McKinney, Rabiot.
Mm-hmm.
So
there was a rumor Rabiot was going to come to MLS, which would be pretty sweet, but I don't think that was ever going to. I don't think it ever took legs.
Yeah, Justin's a MLS hater, so be careful.
Really?
I'm almost the last year and a half I've been transitioning. I'll say I'm not a hater anymore, but
Is it a retirement league?
not anymore, honestly. But
Juve's like back line's a little shaky. I mean, they have like a couple fullback, like this. DeScilio can play on either side, but like you have Bremer and then like Bonucci every third game when he finally gets healthy and then gets hurt again. You know, lost Chiellini to LAFC. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. In the game that I watched the other day, Juventus Barca, Bremer looked like he just didn't know what he was doing, playing just hospital balls into the six onto their wrong foot.
He's Brazilian. That's the thing.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely got some learning to do, but
I don't think Juve have it in him to win Serie A again. I think Inter's stronger.
Roma went out and made some good moves too.
I was going to say Roma. They get Paulo Dybala on a free transfer. Like that's just insane. Like that could be like the signing of. I think the two best signings could be Dybala on a free to Roma, and just re-signing Mbappe for PSG are probably the two best signings, and then Haaland for City. But yeah, and then they're rumored to get Wijnaldum from PSG as well. Apparently, Wijnaldum's not very happy there, so that'd be kind of.
Dybala's 28, and they got him on a free.
Yeah, I mean, if he gives you 3 like prime years, like at his peak, he's a top 5 to 7 player in the world. He's just not at his peak enough.
You think Chelsea uses the buyback on Tammy Abraham?
What is it? Do you know?
Like 80 million.
Oh gosh, that's ridiculous. I never really thought Tammy Abraham was that good, but like if he's scoring goals there, like keep doing it, man. Like
yeah, he reminds me of Nunez. Good, big, strong, tall, like athletic, can run in behind, but like he's not the greatest on the ball. Like he would struggle in a top side.
Yeah, so maybe Roma's a good spot for him. I think Roma's got a chance at the league this year, just because for Inter to repeat be.
Who you guys think's gonna win Serie A?
I might have to put some money down on Roma and just like get behind Roma, like just be a big Roma guy.
I like that. I'm a big Jose guy too from his Chelsea.
I actually kind of hate Jose Mourinho, but I believe in the other stuff.
All right.
Yeah, it's kind of a lot of Serie A talk for us. You want to move back into the Prem?
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think we've touched on just about all of the bigger teams except for like Real Madrid, which maybe we'll get to later.
Talk about Tottenham.
Yeah, we'll get there in a sec. Real quick though, I want to go back to Manchester City because I somehow forgot, almost like how I almost forgot about Vitinha, who was one of my guys that I feel like I kind of like. Now Vitinha was playing in the U21 Euros, so he's obviously good anyway. But I feel like I picked him out and was like, this is my guy. Another one of my guys that I found in that same Euros, Marc Cucurella, was playing for Spain as a left wing back, playing for Brighton now, and City won him. And throughout the summer, it's, they sold Zinchenko. It's been 30 million, Brighton reject, 50 million, Brighton reject. And I told Chad, we were sitting there one day, I was like, dude, Cucurella is going to go for like 100 million. And everybody laughed at me. Like Chad told somebody else who laughed at me. And then just wait until this transfer happens because City's going to need a left back and they're going to realize you have a chance to get like the best left back for the next 5 years. And it's Cucurella.
Yeah, he's an interesting player. He's a little bit of a different player than people seem to think. He's really like more of a defensive stalwart when compared to like Cancelo. He's good in attack and he can dribble. Obviously, he's a Spanish guy. Like he's good on the ball. But he was one of Brighton's like most influential like tackles made per game, interceptions. Like he's a really good defender actually.
You would think of him, and he's good enough to play as a wing back or like through like he could step up into midfield kind of thing. So good with the ball, but he's so good at defending. They were playing him left center back in a 3-5-2, 3-4-3 last season.
I believe he put in a transfer request.
Oh,
yeah.
It's probably because he's like, all right, this is my one time to like make like a massive move.
Yeah.
City need another left back probably. So
yeah, your thing with that take, you said like, oh, dude, Cucurella could go for $100 million. Then the very next day, transfer market like put in like Man City want to get him for $30 million.
Yeah. So they're not going to get him for $30 million. They already had that rejected.
The $100 million part, not the fact that he was going to City.
Well, first of all, I called it him to City very early, didn't I? And then, you start low and then you try to bargain. And they've already gotten 50 million rejected. So what's next? 70 million?
Brighton do some good business there. They got him from Getafe for 20 million.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep. That's where he was playing, I think, when how he got into that Euro squad for Spain. So last Big Six team we have Tottenham, right?
Yep.
So talking about the Tottenham Spurs. You guys want to start it off?
I think they'll improve just to start it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, maybe not necessarily improve. They ended just so hot, but I think they stay on their good form of run under Conte, and they'll be good.
I think they could finish as high as second. Like if Liverpool like slip up a little bit, I think they're like guaranteed top four. I'd love like for the short period of time. I've loved what Antonio Conte has done. That Chelsea team he had like 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe like 6 years ago now. One of my favorite teams to watch of all time. This Tottenham team is up there as well. Now it's very like automated, like a lot of pattern play and like repetitive kind of stuff. He's very like hardcore intense. So like I think players don't like that in the long run. But like for now, like you're riding the Antonio Conte wave and like it's gonna hit its peak this season.
They made a lot of good signings too. They did some good business for sure.
I mean, look, so they lost Bergwijn, but he's at Ajax now. He's kind of on his way out anyway.
They made 30 more million on him for those 2 goals he scored in the 95th minute.
I'm so high on Spurs.
You never told me that before. Did you just like make up your mind that you're going to be? Did we just convince you to be high on Spurs?
No. Do you want me to just tell you my thoughts? Like,
of course.
Yeah. Let's run through these transfers real quick.
Well, let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dude, I agree with you that they could finish second. Like, I think they will be right up there.
Yeah.
Like Antonio Conte's won the Prem before. They were really good last part, like the second part of the season, right? They signed Only. I mean, I'm not saying that's a deal breaker, but right, they need a left side center back. Is he left footed?
Yeah, year long loan, like that could do. You do well there.
Either when they were going to go for him or Pau Torres, either one knew that whichever one they were going to get was going to be good left side center back.
Yeah,
to fit that role. Signed Perisic, who's like the perfect like left wing back for them in their system. Like perfect. And they have depth at these positions. They signed DJ Spence, who's pretty good, like going to be a very good player in the Premier League, but maybe he won't start at first, but maybe split time with Royale if he's still there, Emerson Royale.
Yeah.
And then their front 3 and 4 basically is so good. You got Son, who was the leading goal scorer. You got Kane, who's probably second best number 9 in the league behind Haaland. Kulusevski was probably one of the best signings of the winter transfer season. Richarlison, I mean, carried Everton all last season. They signed Zuma. Bissouma to go along with who they have at also center mid.
Bentancur,
Hoiberg,
yeah. Winks is still there. Who else they have?
Skip.
They have one other English center mid, don't they?
Skip.
Oliver Skip, yeah. So I there were rumors Winks was going to leave, but it sounds like Skip's going to stay. Yeah, man. Like all these signings, I think the signing I'm the lowest on is Richarlison. I just don't know how good he's going to be for like a top team.
It's a lot of money for probably
Yeah.
a player who doesn't fit. Like, doesn't start in that front three.
Yeah.
Where does he play too? Does he just come on after Kane, or does he play off the one of the wings as an inside forward? Like,
I think he can play. I think the reason why they signed him like that is that he can play all three of those positions.
Mhm.
I think his best is a 9. but-
Really?
Yeah, personally, I think his best is a 9, but he can play all three of those positions, which
I kind of assumed he was going to be like that right forward spot for like Kulusevski, like as a sub or rotation. Or honestly, like I kind of thought Kulusevski might get some run at right wing back as well. Maybe
I
not,
could see that.
but they were talking about it. And maybe that's just Conte like kind of doing his thing in preseason, but I think he's gotten some reps there.
interesting. Left-footed player at right wing back.
So to go from the Cucurella talk, we'll go to Bissouma, who also played for Brighton. We watched a lot of Brighton. I loved Brighton. I love Graham Potter's, tactics, how he played. Bissouma is going to be really good. I don't think he's like top, like if you're talking like world-class teams, I don't think he really gets into that team. But a team like Spurs, where the roles for the center mids are pretty defined, and like he can grow into the role as the team like grows and gets better, I think it's pretty good business. And they didn't spend like a ton of money on him. Then you got like Perisic, we said, is just like good business, like quality veteran. And then DJ Spence is another so I know he was good and he was linked to Arsenal a while back, but like I would also consider him like one of my guys with the Cucurella and the Vitinha. A lot of wins for me this summer window, by the way.
No one talks about their losses.
Yeah, you're right.
Did you identify DJ Spence when he was like?
Hold on. Here's the deal. I turned on a game in like the middle of November, and I was watching them play, and I was like, wow, this guy's good. And I looked him up, and then it turns out like he was like,
Yeah, you were watching Nottingham Forest in November.
Yes. What else was I going to do? It was like an FA Cup weekend.
Okay.
It was an FA Cup weekend. I didn't feel like watching the FA Cup. It was an FA Cup weekend where nothing else was on, so I had to watch the FA Cup. So I watched Forest and I watched DJ Spence. Now, like I said, like you have to be good to play in the U21 Euros, so it's not like I was doing some deep scouting here. But I think DJ Spence is really good. Is he good enough to start every game right away? No, but
I think your point to Conte being very hard on the players is something to look for.
Yeah,
especially in a team like Tottenham with a lot of high professional guys, like that could become an issue. I could definitely see that.
Yeah. But I mean, maybe they're just disciplined enough. Like I'm sure Harry Kane like wants to win something, like, and no more he was coming in Harry Kane last season after Euros. He looked exhausted. Like it looked like he was like kind of slow. And I was on the podcast saying like I thought he looked slow. And then so he had the Euros, he had the City transfer rumors. They thought that was going to get done like last week of the window, and it didn't. So like maybe he's like really like dialed in and focused. He's got a full preseason with them. But yeah, I'm like buzzing to watch Spurs.
Yeah, I think they'll be solid. I agree. I actually like your guys' take with they could finish second above Liverpool.
Yeah,
I think that's it. I like that.
So, do we want to give any like predictions for the league? Like maybe top 4 or something?
I have my whole table.
Wow, your whole table. You just want to like read it off? Like, how do you want to go about it?
For the archives, just read it off.
For the archive.
All right, I'll start at the top. City winning the league. Second's Liverpool. Third, Spurs. Fourth, Arsenal.
Hold on, repeat that. City, Liverpool,
City,
Spurs,
Liverpool.
Arsenal.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's Champions League football.
Mm.
Fifth and sixth is Chelsea and Manchester United.
Okay.
West Ham.
They just signed Samaka.
I love Skamaka.
We didn't really talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then following that is Newcastle, Leicester, Brighton, Villa, Palace, Wolves, Brentford, Leeds, Nottingham Forest, and Everton.
So you have them 3 being relegated?
No.
You're not there yet.
And then the relegated 3 are Southampton, Fulham, and Bournemouth.
Really?
Southampton
Had they've been pretty bad for a while, but they did Bella Kochap, I guess that's how they say it. Pretty good center back prospect. Lavia coming from the Man City Academy, pretty good prospect.
Aribo's good. I watched him in the Europa League. He was on Rangers. He's good.
The only difference
Yeah.
maker, right, out of everyone they signed, really.
Yeah, they went out and got a lot of young guys. They also lose a guy like Broja who scored 9 goals for them, so that's important.
Lost their starting goalie, right?
Forster, yeah. They brought in 2, it looks like. I think that Bazunu is a former City guy.
Really?
If I'm not mistaken. Can you look it up?
They went shopping at City.
Fact check.
I would probably go with my top 4 would probably be City, Spurs, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Yeah, coming from a Chelsea fan, I actually agree with you guys. I don't think Chelsea is in the top 4 this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Which
who's
is bold.
hired? Chelsea or
Terrible. Chelsea or who?
United?
No, Chelsea. Come on.
Who's up? So what's United's front? Whatever, it's probably going to be a front 3. Sancho,
Rashford off the left.
Rashford, Sancho. I was thinking Sancho on the left, maybe Martial, and then Rashford.
Ten Hag's been playing Sancho back on the right. He played on the right at Dortmund, came to United, started playing on the left, was shit. So he's playing him back on the right and with Rashford off the left.
And Martial is the 9, or
yeah, Martial's been scoring too.
Yeah,
but
I always liked Martial, and I think he just had such a down season. Just same thing with McTominay. When the team does poorly, you just kind of it's stock down.
It's tough to play with Bruno and Cristiano, 2 of the most hero ball-esque players
that's another one of my kind of hot takes. And I know I was on here pumping up the Portuguese, but I'm not that high on Bruno. He's very skilled. He does a lot of work, but I don't think that's necessarily winning soccer. It's just
it's definitely
him and especially him and Ronaldo is a 10 and a 9. I don't know. I just don't see it.
They don't make the players around them necessarily better, and I think that's a very important aspect of a good player.
Yeah.
If you want, real quick, just when you watch Bruno, he's always behind the play, whether it's defensively. He's not. The ball's on the other end, closest to the goal that he's trying to defend. He's not getting back defensively, and when the ball's going forward, going to the goal that they're trying to score at, he's behind the play again. So he's coming deeper.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking that it's almost if you wanted to have a very ball dominant team and we're you know what, we don't need a straight up center mid. You play Bruno as a regista, you know what I mean? And I feel he would be okay in that spot.
Yeah, definitely.
Bruno in the regista position.
I think he just wants play in front of him.
Yeah. He doesn't challenge himself to play better. And maybe that's a 10 Hag gets on him about it. I don't know.
All right. Yeah, I got Everton barely avoiding relegation again this season.
They're looking rough, brother.
I think they're going to get relegated, man. I'm sorry. But Lampard's my guy, too. I'm a Chelsea fan. But
I've kind of had enough of Everton, to be honest. No offense, bro.
I think Lampard, I hate all the talk about Lampard. He's probably overrated as a manager, right?
He's probably okay. They're probably all okay. They're
a little overrated just because he's Frank Lampard. They think
he never really figured out a system with them through the second half of the year either. What? I don't know. They don't have a lot going for them other than Dwight McNeil.
I think, with Lampard, the system, I think now wasn't the time. I think he was just seemed like Lampard was a manager for the future, but it was also he kind of had to scrap most of his plans just to be we're staying up, we're doing whatever we have to do to stay up. Now it's now we develop the system, but it's also your team's not good enough to play a good style of soccer and also stay up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's almost you kind of wish they got relegated last year, then play a good system in the championship.
I mean, some teams get relegated and then they can come up in 1 or 2 years and then start fresh and start back up again.
Dude, Fulham.
Yeah, like there's usually like one team that gets promoted every year and stays up for a long period of time. Like teams bounce up and down. Like
that's Forest this year. I agree with your
I
statement
think
there.
that's Forest this year that like comes
Forest
right up.
like
Like
a lot of new guys.
Wolves when they came up for that year, for example. What's another one? Leeds, their first year back up.
Yeah. Well, they dominated
Sheffield United. Sheffield
United
finished like 14th or 13th their first year and got relegated the year after.
Yeah, they were really good that first year they came up, and then they were like terrible the next.
Yeah.
So I see the same thing happening with Everton as it did last season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like the way McNeil is assigning, like just delivers crosses, delivers like good set piece balls into the box, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Like that's kind of all he can do is head the ball. He didn't really do anything else.
He couldn't even hold up the ball when we were at the Everton Arsenal game. It was just like come to him and you like chest it 5 yards that way.
Like players going to support him, right? Like in the Everton game, it was we want to build out of the back. We make 2 passes, can't go forward, so we go backwards, drop it back to our goalie. Our goalie gets pressed, we kick it out, it goes out for the Arsenal's throwing.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we do go long, it's Dominic Calvert-Lewin with nobody up there to support him.
Yeah. Chad, not to cut you off, but we're running low on time, so we really got to end this. So, because I don't feel like making a whole nother Zoom just to do it. So
let's just, you guys want to go through a couple guys? I got a couple guys I just want to touch on.
We have less than a minute. So do you want to start a new Zoom?
Nah, we're good. Keane Lewis Potter from Brentford, winger from Hull City. He's going to be a good player. Watch some of his game film. He reminds me of Foden. He's a good ball striker. Yeah. Not like extremely pacey, 2-footed. So
we'll clip that and put it on social media. We good to log off?
I'm good.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for hanging in there with us.
Yeah.
Justin, welcome to the team.
Thanks. Great
Good stuff. All right. That was episode 39. In the words of Fabrizio Romano. Here we go.